House Stark, for the most part, has been the house to root for throughout the entirety of the Game of Thrones series. The heroes of the story, so to speak, started out by losing almost every single member of their house, all the while being pushed to the farthest reaches of Westeros. In this video, I want to speculate on each member of House Stark, as well as mention 2 leaks, in air quotations there, for Bran, Sansa, Arya, and Jon Snow. Now, as always, the leaked part of this video is meant to be taken with a grain of salt and is more or less for purely entertainment purposes. But nonetheless, here's your sign, and let's begin. Now, before we get started, please slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 2,420. Also, make sure you're subscribed. We have a subscriber goal of reaching 75,000 before Game of Thrones Season 8 comes out, and I'd really like you all to help me meet that goal. Also, please have your notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Now, the first Stark that I want to mention for this video is a lot of people's favorite, but also a lot of people's least favorite, and that being Sansa Stark. Now, I've made a ton of videos explaining my position on Sansa Stark before in the past, so I'm not really going to do that so much for this video. Just to sort of summarize though, I feel like Sansa's main role in this whole series has been learning how to play the Game of Thrones, learning how to be the best player from the best players. My biggest gripe with her is that she still to this day has not picked up a sword and learned how to swing it. If the ad campaign is to be believed, then all of this has been for the throne. All of this, including the Night King, everything that's happened so far has all been for the Game of Thrones. And if that were actually the case, then Sansa's role in the endgame is pretty easy. She's gonna be like the Tywin Lannister, but for House Stark. She'll play the same role as Tywin, as in informing everyone what their best option will be in making sure House Stark has a future, and I would even go as far as to saying that she may be the one to do things that no one else wants to do in House Stark. Perfect example would be passing judgment on those who have wronged House Stark, or it could involve something like plotting to further their position and make sure that they always have a failsafe plan. Sansa's already proven that she can give the best advice next to Tyrion about the way that Cersei's mind works, and I feel like there was a bit of foreshadowing last season when Daenerys is talking with Tyrion just before she goes off to go and rescue Jon Snow, where Daenerys asks Tyrion if they have a backup plan just in case things turn sour. Tyrion tells her that if they want to start an open relationship with Cersei, the best way to do it is to show her their true power, and maybe lying or coming up with a backup plan wouldn't be the best way to do that. When you add someone like Sansa to Daenerys and Jon Snow's war council, well, that just kind of throws a wrench into the whole plans. I'm pretty sure if there is a point next season where Jon Snow, Daenerys, Tyrion, and Sansa all survive and are planning the invasion of King's Landing, Sansa will be one of the first ones who promotes the idea of having a backup plan. My other option for Sansa is more so dictated on the fact that if you interpret the whole hashtag for the throne ad campaign completely different and treat it as a giant misdirect. This would mean that in the end, the Iron Throne will mean nothing. The idea of a king or a queen sitting and ruling over a giant massive body of people will be non-existent. And if the war goes how I think it will, Jon and Daenerys, the 2 biggest candidates for the Iron Throne, will want nothing to do with it. They'll be so changed and lose so many people close to them during the whole process of claiming the Iron Throne. I could see them abolishing the whole idea of it and maybe leaving the ruling of Westeros to a council. Now, I know this is just a fantasy idea, but this would give Sansa a more prominent role. Another option, and I think this is the most likely if we have to lose one more Stark, then I could see Sansa dying a very similar way that her direwolf did. It's long been a theory that each one of the Starks are going to die or live in a way similar to their direwolf, and the way Lady died was at the hands of another Stark. So am I insinuating that Sansa's going to be killed by Arya, Jon, or Bran? No. If you look at it from another angle, then Lady died protecting Nymeria, or Sansa will die protecting Arya. And now let's move on to the 2 leaked in air quotations scene. The first one is Sansa gets kidnapped and taken to Cersie. After the battle for Winterfell, while everyone or the survivors of the battle are trying to recoup their losses and figure out what happened and how many people died, bam! The Golden Company attacks and Sansa is taken prisoner. It's not made clear how they're able to do this, but Jon Snow and Daenerys are not present during this time. This all results in a trade-off happening where Jon Snow turns himself in order for Sansa to be returned safely, and the leak ends with Jon Snow refusing to bend the knee to Cersei. Now the next one that I want to talk about for Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones Season 8 has to do more so with Tyrion and his trial. This person states that Sansa is the main persecutor of Tyrion's trial. They play a game throughout the entire season, and Sansa plays it better than Tyrion. In the end, Sansa gives the final order for Tyrion to be executed. Now you all let me know what you think about those leaks down below in the comment section. Let's go ahead and move on to Bran Stark, or should I say Three-Eyed Raven. Now if you had asked me before Season 7 had actually aired how big of a role Bran was going to play in the endgame of not just the Night King, but the entire show, then I would have said, whoa, massive. Not only will he tell everyone how to defeat the Night King, but he's also going to be the one to inform Jon Snow of his lineage. He's also going to fill in the major gaps to history and try to restore Westeros to its former glory. But then I realized that this is Game of Thrones and we don't have time for that, and also his powers aren't as great as I thought they would be. He does have the ability to see the past, the future, and the present, but for the most part, all he can do is warg into birds and make creepy rape jokes about the time he was spying on his sister. Joking aside, I do think that Bran will have a role to play in Game of Thrones Season 8, and I think that's going to be strictly tied in with the Night King. Bran's destiny and the Night King's true motivation seems like it's going to go parallel, meaning you can't have one without the other. If the Night King and the Army of the Dead don't exist, then what's the point of having Bran around? Maybe in order for Westeros to exist, there always has to be some sort of balance between fire and ice, and Bran will be there to protect that balance. Maybe the White Walkers will be dwindled down to nearly none. Same with the dragons. This would equal balance, and Bran's role in the very end may be to protect that balance for the next 1,000 years until a new Three-Eyed Raven is chosen. History repeats itself, especially in Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. But the first leak I want to discuss for Bran for Game of Thrones Season 8 involves Bran being killed during the Battle of Winterfell. The Night King is able to trap Bran's mind in the Weirwood net, and Bran spends half of Game of Thrones Season 8 trapped in a warg before ultimately dying and being freed when the Night King is killed during Episode 5. Now the next leaked scene that I want to mention for Bran involves Bran being the actual Night King. Now I know, just hear me out. This person mentions that after the battle for Winterfell, Bran is actually taken alive. The Night King then performs on him the same ritual, and Bran becomes the actual Night King. At the very end of the season, Jon must kill Bran while they both ride dragons. This is probably the most ridiculous leak I've ever mentioned. I don't even want to really, mention in this video, but I thought it was pretty fun, and we've been lacking as far as tinfoil. I don't really know about the Night King capturing Bran alive. That doesn't really seem like his style. For the most part, he kills everything and then brings it back. So if he does get to a point where he confronts Bran, and I do think that Bran is the Night King's target, then the Night King would likely kill him right away and then bring him back. I think Bran or anyone with Stark blood has the ability to become a White Walker, so the Night King would likely resurrect Bran as soon as he killed him. Not kidnapping him, doing the same ritual to him and turning him into the Night King, which in my opinion makes zero freaking sense. I feel like the Night King's power would make more sense to touch Bran, then Bran absorbs the Night King's essence. But there's no way in hell that Bran and Jon Snow are going to square off against two dragons in the very end of the season. And since we're getting low on time here, I'm going to go ahead and pick the pace up a bit and move on to Arya's stock. And starting out with the speculation, I feel like if we're going by what happens to Arya in the Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer, well then when Episode 3 rolls around and it's the Battle of Winterfell, or the 55 night long battle, then Arya will come close to death. I don't think she's gonna die. She's too great of a fighter for that, but I do think she's gonna come close to death. My whole idea about this comes from when she's meeting with whoever it is, and a lot of people speculated that it's actually Gendry, because if you look in the background, the shading looks very similar to when Gendry walks into the forge at Winterfell, and you can see this massive pile of dragonglass in the background. But the whole attitude and cockiness she has with saying like, I've seen many faces of death, I look forward to seeing this one, lets me know that she's going to underestimate the Army of the Dead. She thinks that she can kill living people, killing dead skeletons and creatures who for the most part don't fight the same way as live men. She probably feels as though she's going to whoop ass in this battle. And in this trailer, we see that she does. The problem is since she's underestimated them, I think their sheer numbers is going to be what overwhelms her. And bringing back to the question I posed like 6 videos ago, I don't know who the hell she's running from. Whatever it is has clearly been blacked out and removed, but judging by the look on her face, it's either someone really close to her or has just died, or someone who was fighting beside her, maybe someone that she's recently met who has now been turned, and this is the first time she's seen this. When you look at the fighting scene of her using what appears to be a spear to kill a few whites, you do see this blood squirt out out, and that is not something that we've seen with the Army of the Dead before. This has to be someone who was freshly killed, or the Golden Company invading. And before I get into the leaks, I do want to mention one more thing that makes me think that Arya will come close to death in this battle for Winterfell. There was a moment during Entertainment Weekly's coverage of Game of Thrones Season 8 that released at the beginning of this month. The article mentions how there was an actress who fainted on set during the filming of the 55-night-long battle. There was a paragraph in the article where the author mentioned that Maisie had never done any sort of battle sequence before, and Maisie Williams herself commented on her character Arya has been training for so long, she can't believe it took this far into the Game of Thrones series for her to finally get a taste of battle. This in my mind confirms to me that whatever happens to Arya during the Battle of Winterfell, she will be pushed to her limits and she will likely become very close to death. I'm pretty sure when it's all said and done that she won't be looking forward to another one of his faces anymore. Now the first leaked scene for Arya that I want to discuss mentions that Arya will become Daenerys' Queensguard after the battle for Winterfell. During the battle, she bonds with Daenerys while she saves Daenerys' life during the actual battle. There's a moment where the Night King surprises everyone by attacking from both sides, and the dragons are in the Godswood and are not nearby Daenerys to help defend her. Arya stops a spear from striking Daenerys that was thrown by a White Walker, and later on during the battle, Drogon returns the favor by landing on a group of whites which surround Arya. This person further mentions that during the battle for Winterfell, Jorah dies alongside Grey Worm and Cal Kono. Towards the end of the season, while Dany and Jon plan the invasion of King's Landing, Arya offers to go as a personal protector to the Queen. Now the next leak that I want to mention for Arya involves her killing Cersei. Now this has been theorized and speculated on so much, I don't even want to spend that much time on this. This person mentions that Arya kills Cersei while traveling with Jaime and the Hound to force Cersei to surrender over King's Landing. While the Mountain fights with what the hell? What accent was that? While the Mountain fights with Jaime and Sandor, Arya takes out Cersei's guards. She made it clear to Jaime and Arya that she will not be taken alive. Arya ends up cornering Cersei down a dark stairwell and murders her brutally. I mean, yeah, I can get down with that, but that pretty much sounds like straight up fan fiction. Y'all let me know what you think about those Arya leaks down below in the comment section. Let's jump into the last Stark we're going to discuss for this video, that being Jon Snow. Now at this point, in making Game of Thrones videos for over 3 years, it's clear that Jon Snow and Daenerys are my favorite characters, and Arya, and Tyrion, and Jaime, and Brienne, and Ned, and shit, even Cersei. Okay, I like all the characters, but Jon Snow is up there with Daenerys, meaning that I would willingly trade off the death of another character in order for Jon or Daenerys to live and survive during the end. My point in saying all that was that I've made it well established how I think Jon Snow will play out in Game of Thrones Season 8. Jon will likely be the one to lay the Night King to rest, and he, alongside Daenerys, has the strongest claim for the Iron Throne. So if the Iron Throne in the Game of Thrones is a thing at the end of this series, then Jon will be one of the likely contenders to wear that crown. Now the first leaked scene that I want to mention was pretty short and sweet, and this person basically said that there is a scene in Game of Thrones Season 8 with Jon and Cersei. We've had pictures that have confirmed this for almost a year now. Jon ends up bending the knee to Cersei only if she releases Sansa and do no further harm to his family. Then the next leak that I want to mention in this video involves Jon Snow will lose his first square off with the Night King. His sword becomes shattered in the process, and then later on in the season, we find out that only a special weapon can be used to kill the Night King. It happens to be the same dagger Leaf used during the Night King's creation. Jon and Daenerys must then travel north of the wall to get the weapon. They fly to the same location where the Night King was created and find the dragonglass dagger has now been encased in ice. Drogon begins to burn the altar surrounding the dragonglass dagger, and just as he does this, massive ice spiders begin crawling towards them. Drogon and the spiders mini battle it out until Jon successfully retrieves the dagger. Later in this season, after the Night King attacks King's Landing, Jon has a rematch with the Night King, and this time is able to bury the dagger in his chest. And with the tenfold reaching over 9,000 in that last one, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. Alright, and with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could please slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 2,420. Also, the subscriber goal is going to be 75,000. Please help me reach that before Game of Thrones Season 8 comes on. Also, make sure you have your notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night, which is almost over. Super special thank you to every single person watching this video, and a super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunts.
reviews.